Hey everyone, welcome to setting up January in my new journal. For January, we're going to be using a stellar blue calligraph from Archer and Olive. January is always blue in my journal. I live where it's cold, and cold is blue. But we're going to try to embrace the cold with this particular washi tape setup, with a quote that says, "In the winter, the air changes, and with it, our senses awaken to the magic of the season." If you don't live where it's cold, you probably don't really appreciate the magic of the season because you're too busy shoveling out your driveway. But a lot of people think that winter is magical, even though it freezes my toes. Since I'm using a square journal for January, I decided to do one page as a calendar and the other page for content planning. I've never made a dedicated content spread in my journal, so we'll see how I like it, but why not try it out since I have so much space? The calendar is 5 by 5 squares, and then the content tracker is kind of made up for now. I haven't fully settled on this particular setup, but we'll see how it works for January. Once I finished doing the calendar, I realized that the fine tip on the Calliograph is probably not the best thing to use, so I switch over to a blue Sakura Pigma Micron that I have. It's an 05, and then I will make my content planner dashboard. Since both the calendar and the dashboard take up so much space on these pages, I don't have a ton of extra space for decoration, but I am going to try to squeeze in another washi tape. This is a really cool washi tape. It's a textured edge washi tape, which is mountains and trees. And with this last sticker that I'm going to place down in the corner, that will be it for this spread. Moving on to habits, mood, and weather. As per usual, I'm going to be doing my little calendar trackers for habits. It's what works best for me, but for the mood, I'm going to be doing a illustrated tracker. I don't often do an illustrated tracker, but this washi tape set seems to inspire me to want to do an illustrated tracker every time I use it. So for this year's mood tracker, it is an illustrated tracker for mountains and some hills and a couple of trees that match the same style as the trees that are on the hilly washi tape. We're going to now decorate this spread with this really wide washi tape that looks like windows from a train as it goes past a snowy winter scene. And the opposite of a morning winter scene on the top with the train. Just trying to get some more decorations down with this other washi. And then we move right into my stats, notes, and media pages. I have loads of room on these pages, so it might not look like tons, and it might look like the font is absolutely gigantic, but there is lots and lots of space still for decoration and for me to actually fill out these pages when I am done with them. Now we will cut off the top of this page to make a Dutch door and glue it down so that we maintain the integrity of this journal. And this will be my new meals setup for the square journal. And we'll decorate with the train over the snowy mountains. add some of the stickers, and move right into our first weekly spread in January. Because I like my months to stay together, this is going to be another one of those mixed multi-purpose spreads. I have 3 days that need meal tracking along with them, so they will go in here with their meal trackers beside them, and then the other side will have the next 7 days for the rest of the second week of January. As you can see, I have lots of room for planning and to do my meal spreads. The 8x8 is generally very large. Each of these spaces that I'm going to be using for planning are 9 dot grid spaces wide by 18 dot grid spaces tall. And then each of those spaces for the meal planning are just divided into 3 spots. And I'm just going to be adding the initial for the days of the week for each of the days. And then with just a couple of extra decorations, that will finish out the first week for January in my new journal. For the second week in my journal, I decided to do floating squares. Each of these squares are 13 by 13 dot grid boxes, and they have lots and lots of space for decoration around them. Once I finish the initials for the days of the week, I'm going to once again add the washi that looks like it's outside of a train, as well as the hilly washi and the washi with the train outside. And then I will add some stickers for decoration, and that will be the second week. For the third week, I decided to go with a horizontal weekly. This is going to give me a ton of planning room, but it did mean that a couple of my weekly boxes were about half the space, but with a square journal, half the space is still 18 dot grid spaces wide. Then I have just enough space for the train outside washi tape and the bumpy edged washi tape at the top. And because with this layout I have more horizontal space, I'm doing the first 3 letters of the days of the week instead of just the initial. Add in the PET washi and the stamp washi. You have a very spacious weekly for January. My final weekly for January is going to be a vertical weekly. I typically don't like a vertical weekly in an A5 journal, but in a square journal, you have lots of room. Each of the vertical boxes is going to be 9 dot grid spaces wide, which will leave lots of space horizontally for me to decorate. With the washi tape down, all I have left is to color in my font for the January header. Followed by adding my lines to designate where my boxes for the days are. Squeeze in the last couple of these stamp washies and add in my days of the week. And with that, January is set up in my new square journal from Typhosi. This is my 3rd year using the Dreams of Snow Washi set from Notebook Therapy. I still have enough washi tape to do an entire other theme with this tape. I might not have all of the tapes left, but I have enough to complete another theme with it. That means more than likely I'm going to be using it in January again next year. So I hope everybody enjoyed watching me set up this absolutely stunning square journal with these lovely supplies. I'm looking forward to the extra space so much in January. Going from a travel size journal to a square is going to be so luxurious. Bye, guys.